Thank you very much, Ambassador Henderson. And I would just like to join with the speakers who have come before to thank our partners, the agencies who are represented here today, and also our partners who have been with us for the last 2 weeks, some of whom have now departed. The French and the Dutch, the Canadians and the US, I think, are still here. But we do want to say a special thank you to all of our partners, Venezuela, Cuba, and all the other agencies that have been assisting us in this relief distribution program. Of course, Maria has been challenging, and the response to Maria is even more challenging. And I dare say that distribution of relief is one of the most challenging tasks that we have post this disaster. But we have been doing our best, as Ambassador and as the Prime Minister has said. I would just like to continue from where our friends at the World Food Programme left off to speak about procurement of food supplies, and also to elaborate on our distribution plan that we spoke about the last time that I was here. And I would also like to speak to some of the programs or the initiatives that we'll be launching in the next week or so, well, the next few days, to strengthen the distribution at the community level. So as the World Food Programme has said earlier, they'll be providing support to us through the procurement of basic food supplies. We have met with the World Food Programme over the last 2 days to review the food needs, food requirements for a population of 70,000 for a period of 30 days. And we've looked at what will be provided by the World Food Programme and the gaps that will need to be provided by the government of Dominica, and through the general relief or donations that we'll be receiving. So we do have at this moment the quantity of food that will be required to supply the country, the entire country, for a period of 30 days. We are working with the Ministry of Finance and the Honourable Prime Minister to determine what will be required from our end in terms of government procurement, and how this will fit in to the overall distribution plan. We are aware that this is not just the distribution of relief is probably going to be with us for the near future. We are also working, the Ministry of Trade has been assigned to have discussions with the local supermarkets to determine the availability of supply within the local supermarkets, and also what is on the way in terms of goods that will be coming into the country. We are also working with them to determine the time period within which they'll be opened. We have to be able to balance the distribution of relief with what the market is able to supply. And we do know that the urgency right now is partly due to the fact that the supermarkets have not been open. So we do have to ensure that we can provide as much coverage as possible with the distribution of relief supplies. We are also aware that we've seen some job losses, of course, and we know that livelihoods will be affected going forward. So this is one of the reasons we are here with our partners to determine a long-term solution to food security and livelihood security as well. We are working with the World Food Programme again to set up a food security and livelihood subcommittee. We will have a first meeting today, and that meeting will be attended, or we will have participation from our agencies, foreign agencies, providing support for food distribution, and also with our local partners and agencies responsible for food, including the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Social Services, and the Ministry of Planning. We hope to be able to convene an initial meeting today to plan moving forward the long-term food needs and how we can get ourselves back on the ground. In terms of distribution, the last time I was here, I indicated that the government had set up a structure for distribution of relief supplies, and that we were planning to use some of the regional warehouses, which would have been the Portsmouth packing house, the multipurpose pack house in Portsmouth, which would service Portsmouth to Cottage, Bourne to Bent, and Thibault to Penville. I would like to report today that this structure at Portsmouth has been fully set up and is operational. So there is a regional warehouse at the multipurpose center, multipurpose packhouse in Portsmouth at Longhouse. They are receiving goods through Longhouse. They've received shipments from Barbados and from other areas in the Caribbean. And the goods are being packaged there and distributed to the areas that I have mentioned. We do have public servants, a team of public servants who are staffing this particular warehouse, and they have been coordinating the distribution for the north. We received a report from them on Thursday, and I am pleased about the distribution in that area. As you are aware, we have also been receiving most of our supplies from the Woodbridge Bay port. We know that we are challenged at the port. The port has suffered significant damage. And we also have had damage at the ferry terminal. So in terms of operation at the port, I know that they have been stretched. We have a number of containers coming in. We have a number of relief supplies coming in, not just to the government. We have supplies coming in for other agencies, for other aid agencies, for local agencies who are also involved in distribution. We have personal items that are coming in. We do have the ferry terminal, which is also operating from the port. And that's is operating with the challenges of the damages that we have experienced at the port. So it is a massive operation to coordinate relief supplies from the port, but we are working. We really would like to say, I really would like to take this opportunity to thank the staff, Mr. Badwill and his staff at the port, the customs officers, the port officers who have been working, and I can tell you up to very late hours in the night, very early in the morning. They've been working for the last 14 days to receive goods, to ensure that the containers are clear, to ensure that we can move supplies into the sheds and that we can have these supplies moved out immediately. We do not have capacity to be able to store goods on the port for a long-term period, so our efforts have been focused on getting the goods out of the port as quickly as possible to the regional warehouses and then onto the communities. To enhance our operations at the port, as Ambassador Henderson said, we have reassigned some of our staff. So we do have an operations manager at the port, Mr. Roy from the Ministry of Tourism, who has been assisting us with coordinating with all of the agencies, working with the World Food Programme, working with our friends from the CDRU, who have been assisting us with managing some of the sheds, and also with the other agencies who have been receiving supplies. We've been directing them to the areas that their supplies are stored. We know that a number of supplies have come in for ADRA, for the Roman Catholic Church and other agencies, and we are also trying to assist them in terms of the coordination on the port. As it relates to the distribution centers and well, overall in terms of distribution, I can report that we have pretty much touched close to 100% of the communities around the island. Now, I would like to emphasize 100% of the communities may not necessarily mean 100% of the population, but we've reached almost every community in Dominica in terms of delivery of supplies. Our focus now is to be able to strengthen the delivery of supplies at the community level. So we are aware that in some communities where we may have delivered supplies, everyone may not have received supplies, and we are working on strengthening the distribution at the community level. Our friends from the World Food Programme have already indicated earlier that they will assist us with training in the communities. We are going to be embarking on a series of community meetings with the field officers, the district development officers and other public servants within the districts, also the councils, the disaster committees, and in some cases there are some communities with no village council structure, with no disaster committee structure. So there are individuals, volunteers from these communities who have come forward and said, we have put a team together in our community. We are going to be responsible for distributing supplies within our communities. And we have been working with these groups, but we would like to ensure that they have the capacity to be able to continue down the line with the distribution process. We would like to emphasize the importance of looking out for the vulnerable in the communities. So with the teams who are distributing, we need to ensure that we look out for the elderly, for the children, for the pregnant mothers, and you know, those who are sick, those who are ill in the community. We really would like you to place some priority on the vulnerable within the community. And that of course will be part of the training that we will try to ensure is done at the community level. Another thing which is important for us is feedback. And as you've heard earlier, we have set up, the Office of Disaster Management has set up a hotline. They have indicated what the numbers are, but I can repeat for emphasis today. We do have 3 numbers for the hotline: 277-8667, 285-0989, 614-3000. We have individuals who are public servants who are staffing this hotline daily. We have been receiving a lot of feedback from the hotline, and what we've been trying to do at the end of the day, well, during the day, the hotline staff, they have provided this information to us, and the areas where we've noticed that we've gotten a lot of calls, we are working on improving distribution in those areas. So I can say, for example, we've received a number of calls from Kings Hill, and today we are working on improving the distribution strategy in the Kings Hill area, Castle Comfort, and a number of other areas that have been identified through the hotline. So the hotline is working. It's not just a number that we've put out there. I am very pleased that people are actually calling the hotline to say that they've received supplies and that they are pleased and that they are satisfied and that their community has been served. So if you have received supplies, please call the hotline as well so that we can get the feedback about how the distribution is going on in the community. I also know through the hotline that individuals have been calling from overseas in the diaspora. Maybe they may be in touch with their family here who may not have access to call the hotline, but they have been calling from overseas to say, my family in this particular area has not been served. So we do appreciate the feedback that we're getting from all levels of society and also from our Dominicans in the diaspora. I would also like to add that from the public service end, that we, at the level of the Committee of Permanent Secretaries, we've been meeting regularly, and the PSCs have been assigned to reassign staff, field staff within the district to work with the community groups, work with the village councils at the community level to strengthen the distribution system. So in the next few days, the field officers from the local government, from the welfare department, some of the education officers, teachers who have been in their districts but are unable to come to Roseau to work, will also be providing support in that area, and we are looking forward to the feedback from that. I wanted also to put out some information as it relates to the port. Just from spending about 3 days on the port within the last week, just some observations in terms of consignment. Goods for relief should be consigned to the Office of Disaster Management, Ministry of Justice, Immigration and National Security, Government of Dominica. It should be clearly labeled so that we do not have any confusion with goods on the port. If you are sending goods to ADRA, it should be labeled to ADRA in care of the Catholic Church, in care of the Red Cross, and personal items should be clearly labeled to the individual that it is going to. We've had discussions with the port about ensuring that we have a shed specifically for distribution and clearance of individual items. Previously, all items came in together in the few sheds that were available, but we are working with the port and ensuring that personal items, and the Prime Minister has already said that personal items can now come in, I believe, but we would like to ensure that this is separate from the relief items so that individuals, can ensure that they receive what has come to them personally, and that what comes to the government and other aid agencies can be clearly identified by the staff on the port. So I do beg your indulgence to ensure that when the relief supplies are being shipped to Dominica, that they are clearly labeled and consigned to the government of Dominica. I would like to take this opportunity as well to thank all those who have been providing donations of relief supplies. We've received a number of containers from Barbados, from Trinidad, from Grenada, from Antigua, and from other islands in the Caribbean. I know that there is more relief in the pipeline. We are working with Sidima. We do have an aid pipeline spreadsheet that tells us what is coming in, when, and where it is coming from, so we have an idea what to expect. and we are utilizing this aid pipeline information to determine where the gaps are so that we can strengthen our own procurement system. So again, really just to wrap up and just to add to what has been said before, this is a challenging task. As Ambassador Henderson said, transportation has been a challenge, but now that a number of the roads are open, we are intensifying our efforts with ground transportation. We really would like to thank the drivers that have been working with us so far, the security, the volunteers, and I do want to thank the staff as well. Ambassador Henderson has called us a number of names, but we also have the staff at the Ministry of Planning, where we've been based for the last few days, who have been providing essential admin support, the secretary to the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Planning, and a number of other individuals who have been assisting us throughout this time. We do hope by the next briefing that we can have more updates for you, but just to say again, thank you very much, and to those who have exercised patience, we will get to you, we will get to everyone, and we also want to thank the other agencies that are filling in the gaps, ADRA, the churches, and the other service clubs and other individuals who have also been distributing relief supplies to some of these same communities. So thank you very much.